Today, I have a story of fire and defiance, of power seized in a world ruled by men, and of a fall that echoed through the hills of Kenya. This is the story of Wangu Makeri, the first and only woman to become a chief among the Agikuyu people during the British colonial era. Born in a time when women were expected to till the soil and tend the hearth, Wangu rose to command respect and fear, only to be undone by the very traditions she challenged. Her life is a blend of triumph and tragedy, a reminder that even the mightiest flames can be quenched by winds of scandal. Let us start at the beginning. In the rolling landscapes of Murang'a County, then known as Fort Hall, Wangu Makeri was born around 1856 in Yetie village in the Kangema division. Her parents were Gatuika Macharia and Wakero, who hailed from the Eithaga clan. In those days, formal education was a rarity, especially for girls in rural Gikuyu communities. Instead, young Wangu labored on her family's farm, her hands calloused from digging the earth and harvesting crops under the Kenyan sun. She grew into a strong industrious woman, known for her passion and unyielding spirit. It was amid the rhythms of farm life that she met her future husband, Makeri Bogo. They married and settled in Koibi village, also in Murang'a, where they built a traditional Kikuyu home and raised 6 children together. Life might have continued in this quiet vein, tending of children, managing the homestead, sharing the burdens of marriage, but fate had other plans. Enter Karuri Wagakure, the paramount chief of Fort Hall, a man of immense influence and repute. Karuri was no ordinary leader. He commanded respect across the region and was said to have over 60 wives. Whenever his travels brought him through Wangu's village, he would stay with her family. It was during these visits that Wangu and Karuri grew close, entering into a romantic relationship despite her marriage. She would bring him meals like sour milk, fresh milk, meat, and hearty dishes, tending to him with care that soon blossomed into something deeper. When Makeri Bogo discovered the affair, tensions ran high. To appease and silence him, Karuri offered Makeri the position of headman, a role of authority under the British colonial administration. But Makeri, a reserved and practical man who valued his wealth in livestock and land, declined. He feared the demands of leadership would distract him from tending his herds, which were his true pride. Undeterred, Karuri turned to Wangu herself. In 1902, at a time when the role of headman was strictly reserved for men, Wangu accepted the position. Thus, she became the first and only female Kikuyu headman throughout the entire British colonial period in Kenya, a groundbreaking feat in a deeply patriarchal society. Now imagine the weight of that power. The British had recently redrawn boundaries in East Africa and completed the railway to Kisumu in 1901. To fund their empire, they imposed a hard tax on the local people, enlisting paramount chiefs like Karuri to oversee collection through grassroots agents like headmen. Wangu's duties included collecting these taxes, brokering peace in her community, and enforcing colonial rules. She ruled over Eithaga location with an iron fist, becoming a controversial figure among her own people. Described as harsh and authoritarian, she intimidated tax evaders, subjecting them to solitary confinement and public humiliation. In a bold display of dominance, Wangu would often make offenders kneel before her and use their backs as seats, sitting upon them as they submitted, a practice that symbolized her unyielding authority but also bred resentment, especially among men. She even addressed barazas while perched on a man's back, defying norms and proving that a woman would wield power as fiercely as any man. For 7 years, Wangu's reign burned bright. She was a role model to women, showing that leadership was not confined to gender. She shrewdly navigated colonial politics, even allocating land for the Eithaga mission, which is now known as Emmanuel Church in Koibi. But power, like fire, can consume its wielder. Her downfall came swiftly and spectacularly in 1909 during a meeting held between June 2nd and 4th. Accounts vary, but the scandal centered on the Kibata dance, a vigorous warrior ritual reserved exclusively for men, often performed with elements of nudity and never to be approached by women. One version tells that Wangu, seeing her lover Karuri dancing with abandon, threw caution aside. Overcome by passion, she joined the men on the dance floor, discarding her clothing to dance provocatively, exposing her body in a brazen act of ecstasy. Another narrative suggests sabotage. Conniving male dancers adjusted her ceremonial sword, causing it to slice the strings of her modoro, which is a traditional skirt, which fell to the ground as she leaped and twirled. Either way, the exposure was seen as the ultimate transgression against Kikuyu customs. Shocks rippled through the community, such as an insult to tradition could not be ignored. Wangu was forced to resign her position, replaced by Ikai Wagadhiba. Her relationship with Karuri persisted, but her public authority was shattered. Wangu Makeri lived out her remaining years in relative quiet, passing away around 1915, though some accounts say 1936. One of her sons, Moshiri, later became a headman himself, carrying a flicker replica of her legacy. Today, she is remembered as a pioneering feminist who shattered glass ceilings in a male-dominated world. Yet her story is complex, a symbol of female empowerment, but also a cautionary tale of colonial collaboration and the perils of defying cultural norms. In Murang'a, shrines and stories honor her, and her name evokes both admiration and debate. She proved that women could lead with fire, but in the end, the flames of tradition proved unyielding. And so ends the tale of Wangu Makeri, the fiery headman who dared to sit on the throne of men. May her spirit inspire us to challenge boundaries, but with wisdom in our steps.